Hello, Ron.
Which
okay.
sickness?
Yeah. Now, was it
Anyone hear
COVID
me?
again, guys? Yeah, I can hear you. Was it COVID? Well, good. It should be that way. Was it COVID again for him, Frank or
David, was
Jim?
it,
Do we know?
Ron's asking, was it COVID again?
No.
It was the
Wait,
toe.
hold on. Our
Laryngitis.
expert producer.
No, he had walking pneumonia.
Oh, I did. I had walking pneumonia. I still have it a little bit.
Well, really? Well, stop walking, and then you would have been okay.
I understand that. I understand that.
So, walking pneumonia, that could kill a guy your age.
He's older than me. I love how he talks. You know what's funny is I woke up on Monday, almost a month ago. Woke up and I said, "Man, I just don't feel good." I go, "I wonder if I have COVID." So I, found a home COVID test.
No, wait a minute. I just want the listeners to know. The reason why Dave wants to know if he has COVID is because every time he goes to the jail to talk
I
to a
was at the
client.
jail the week before. I was there.
I mean,
and
Dave has had COVID more than anybody on the planet.
4 times in 2 years.
He's been vaccinated.
40?
He's got
4
natural antibodies. Dave's got everything,
I got
and he
everything.
still gets it.
So then Wednesday comes around. I'm still feeling cruddy. So my wife goes, "Well, maybe you should go to the doctor." I go, "That's no big thing." I took
There's
another
an idea.
COVID test, and it was negative again, right? So I went through the weekend, and then the Monday I woke up, and when I wake up in the morning, honestly, it feels like someone beat me. And I go, "There's something wrong." So I go to the doctor, and she swabs my nose, and then like 2 days later, she calls me. She goes, "You got walking pneumonia." I go, "I wasn't coughing or anything, though. I just had it." So, but I'm back from the dead.
What did they do? Did you? I mean, what was
She
the
put me on
cure
an
for walking?
antibiotic, and then they did a chest X-ray, and everything was just, I don't know how I got it. Probably because at my age I'm working. It's harder than the young guns. The young guns at the office.
Well,
here
don't
in
stop
Jimmy
blaming it
Frank's.
on him and working hard. Do you think it might be you just went to the jail? It seems you always get something when you go to the jail.
I'm going to tell you something. I've been practicing law 38 years, and I tried to do a rough thing. I've done about 3 years. Because, when you go there, it's about 2 hours, 3 hours. And over 38 years, you add that up. It adds up, especially if you're in trial and you're spending 6 and 7 hours there. So, and hey, God bless those deputies that are there. That's a rough job.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a rough job.
That is a rough job.
People out in the public you gotta appreciate corrections officers, because that is a tough job. I mean, that's a rough job. I wouldn't want that job,
Right.
because they're in jail 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
They're in jail
Right.
with them.
Yep.
I mean, they're
Yeah,
literally
no, they
in
are.
jail.
I mean, they're locked down just as much as the
Well,
next
let me
guy.
ask you this: how you feeling today, Dave? Have you recovered from your walking pneumonia?
I'm almost fully recovered. I did a workout yesterday. I did a little one today. My chest is a little bit sore. I had a little labored breathing, but I'll take tomorrow off, and then I'll get a workout in on Saturday, and then I think I'll be back to normal.
All right. And then did you spread it to anybody else at the office? Jim, Frank?
No,
I
it's
just
not-
hear him
it's
talking.
not- it's not a
Well,
co-
hang
it's
on a
not
second, because you're not.
contagious. It's a
I think it might be because
bacterial-
you're
Oh,
talking
God.
about it, and all of a sudden I'm having a harder time breathing myself now. I'm gasping for air as you're talking about you're having it and the symptoms. I think I now have it.
Oh, well, you might have it.
Now, Frank, how are you feeling? Do you have a fever, Frank? I sense you might.
I've seemed to survive the
Yeah.
whole incident. So I
But
think
you're a
I'm
little
okay.
warm, aren't you,
Yeah, a
Frank?
little bit.
I mean, when you look over
I
at
just try to rough
Melfi,
it
is he
out.
losing? When you look over at
His
Melfi,
color
is
is
he
not
losing his
great.
color?
Yeah, it's
No,
It's a
no.
little
I'm a
pasty
little
white.
peaked
Yeah.
right now.
I call these guys the young guys. I call these guys the young guys. Because I'm the old
Yeah,
man.
but-
I'm the old man at the office. And
Right.
Frank and I
Get-
met with a
get a
client
little
today. Frank was laughing so hard. I just, at this point in my career,
Get a little closer to your microphone for me, if you would mind.
how's this? Is this better?
Yes.
Okay. I had a client in the office who literally made me waste about 15 hours of my time.
Probably.
15 hours of my time preparing a case, and he lied to me. I'm like, why? I brought him in. He goes, well, I go, I'm here to help you. You kick me in the shins like 20 times, and then you say, come help me. I can't help you. If you kneecap me, to start with. I lost my temper a little bit. But Frank understood. I mean,
I did. It's funny.
and the Supreme Court of Ohio now has these rules that they've laid down for common pleas judges that they
Mhm.
got to try every case. But what's going on there? Can you
Yeah,
not-
turn-
can you
turn
not-
that-
That's our producer. Okay.
You know what? At some,
You know what?
at some point, you got to just put that guy in another room, all right? Because
I'm
he's dead.
beginning to think so. Anyhow,
Yeah.
they have this rule. The new Chief Justice has a rule that these cases have to be tried within 6 months. Now, a lot of felonies can be tried within 6 months, but there's a lot that can't. Like Frank and I got a couple of cases that you just look at the discovery, and it'll take you 2 months to get through the discovery,
True.
trying to put it in some kind of an order or semblance of an order. And I have 9 jury trials scheduled between now and the end of the year, and it's just gotten crazier. But I got to tell you,
Yeah.
I'm going to exercise some of my First Amendment rights. Someone said you can't criticize the court. I'm not criticizing the court. I just find that their one decision was a little silly.
Right.
The Ohio
Let me ask
Supreme
you
Court-
this,
Wait, let me tell you what the Ohio Supreme Court recently ruled. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Because you know how I always tell people the law is based on reason and common sense. You know, when you boil it down
Yes.
to it. Well, the Ohio, I know this sounds funny, but this is what the Ohio Supreme Court said. Boneless wings can contain bones. 4 of them said that. It was a 4-3 decision. That's what they ruled.
Boom.
Boneless wings
Really?
can contain bones. Like
Doesn't that seem like a contradiction? Wouldn't a boneless wing?
the punchline writes itself, right? Like if you
Yeah.
were a stand-up comic, you wouldn't have to give the punchline because the punchline is Supreme Court rules that boneless wings can contain bones. And the
Right.
justice writing it said it's a cooking style. No, it means they don't have bones. Like a 5-year-old would know that, right?
Yeah. One might conclude that.
You know that one justice from the Supreme Court that we had on the show, he was in the dissenting opinion, and he called it complete jabberwocky. I hadn't heard that word in a long time. In his dissents, he goes, "This is complete jabberwocky," and it kind of is. I mean, how can boneless wings contain bones? I don't know. I can't. I have no answers for that one. Do you guys have any
Right,
answer for
right.
that one?
No.
I'm just curious. So
Even
my
Stephen
question.
Colbert talked about it. Lewis Black talked about it. I mean, it's just, I'm trying to, I read the decision and I'm trying to wrap my head around how that makes any sense. Like, I guess if you order chicken McNuggets and there's a bone in there and you chip a tooth, you're out of luck because they can contain bones.
Do
now.
you think, Frank and Melfi, do you think after he does these 9 jury trials, what do you want to get on the pool? I'm going to go with mononucleosis. Once he's done with the 9 trials.
Thanks, Ron.
I've
I
had that a
you
couple
guys,
times.
I mean-
It's terrible.
Yeah,
really appreciate it.
I mean, you guys can pick an illness that you think David have after the 9 trials, and we'll go from there. David, at least tell me you'll get some sunshine and some boating in at least, so that you can relax.
This year I've been on my boat the least out of any year in the last 10 years because of this rule. I mean, I have been extremely busy, haven't we, Frank? I mean, we've been very busy.
It's true.
And these court, they in the olden days, and I can say that because I'm older than both.
You
of
are.
practically be your fathers, and they used to take the summer.
And you're like a father to me.
Did you get the email from the Bar Association, the opening of the courts?
Yes.
That used to be like in June or May. There'd be no jury trials.
Yeah,
during
right.
the summer.
Close the courts.
Yeah.
They'd close the courts,
Yep.
and then they'd have an opening of the court ceremony. Yeah, so much for that.
Yeah, that's true.
Do we have any calls, Ron?
Yes, we do.
All right, well, let's take some.
All right. Are you sure you feel up to it? I mean, are you okay?
I'm up to it, Ron. Really, I am. Honest to God, I am. I'm ready to go. We're
Okay,
locked
I'm-
and loaded. We're live. And
I'm
we're
just
local.
checking.
Let's go. Fire them up.
All right.
Mark
Let's take
DeVecchio,
first
what do you
call
think of
for.
that? Was Mark here last week? Mark was
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was.
Well, first
Yeah,
call.
Okay. go
Are you
ahead.
there, caller?
Well, I am here. I don't know if it's for me or not.
Yes. Go ahead. What's your question?
Okay, my question. A 95-year-old man hit my husband while he was on his bicycle. It was on Sunday, July 28th. The man left the scene, was caught by police at a local grocery store.
Mhm.
He claimed he was going to call. My husband has a broken ankle, ribs,
Oh my
tailbone, and
God.
pelvis,
Oh my God.
Terrible.
and didn't need surgery. They were all non-displaced. He came home on Friday, August 9th from acute rehab, is in constant pain, needs a walker to walk very slowly. And
Tell me you have a lawyer
he
helping you out.
was an athlete before this. He did sprint triathlons. He did a half
How old
marathon
is your husband?
in the spring.
How old your husband?
How old
My
you?
husband is 73.
So that's what happens when you
Okay,
get older
let me finish
people,
the story
okay,
here.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
The 95-year-old man is underinsured with only 25,000 bodily injury on his insurance.
Mhm.
However, we have 100,000 underinsured
No,
on
you
our
have
car
75.
insurance.
You have 75.
75.
Yeah, so our insurance will add the 75 to the man's 25. So we'll have a total of 100,000 to take care of medical bills, wage loss, pain, and suffering. My question is, do we need an attorney? And I'm not sure what an attorney could do since our insurance seems to be handling everything.
Right.
David?
Well, she might not need an attorney, but there are a lot of things that come into play with an automobile accident. It's not just the negligence of the tortfeasor. Then you'd want to check out if the tortfeasor is in fact uncollectible. Okay, there's a lot of people.
I don't know what you were saying. How do you spell that?
No, okay. It says tortfeasor. Say the 95-year-old
tortfeasor.
guy.
Tortfeasor is the person that does the civil wrong. In the law, someone that does a civil wrong, we call them a tortfeasor.
So
Okay.
the guy who hit your
All
husband.
right,
The
but
guy
for
that hit
her,
your husband.
The guy who hit your husband.
So when we get
All right,
these
so-
type of claims,
Okay.
we do a financial background check on the person that hit your husband to see if he's collectible or not. That's number one.
does he own a home? Does he have a savings account?
Right.
You
Does
mean
he,
in that?
does he have assets, stocks, bonds? There's a lot of people that have very low insurance and have a lot of assets, believe it or not. Secondly,
Okay.
your husband's medical bills are being paid by whom?
Okay, the way travelers indicated to me, there's an instant $1,000 cash that they will put toward it. Number two will be, we have an Aetna Medicare Advantage plan.
Yeah.
That will be number two. Number three, I believe, would be would be the man's insurance.
No.
But of course,
no.
you know,
So what,
he doesn't
what
have
is
that much.
Do you have a MedPay policy within your own insurance policy?
I think it's just that $1,000.
Okay. You are not insured properly. So let me tell you what a MedPay policy is. It's a mini hospitalization policy in your own policy. Okay. And so I have not heard of a $1,000 MedPay
No.
policy.
Oh, it's usually 10,000.
Usually 5 or
She
10.
might not,
Five or
but
10, 5
Yeah,
or 10,000.
but so I would up that for yourself. Now, the problem you're going to run into is Aetna is going to send you a subrogation claim. And what that means is Aetna is going to say, the medical bills we paid, we want paid back for. And that's where a lawyer can help you. Has
Okay.
Travelers already
you-
offered you or tendered you the $75,000?
Right.
have they offered you the 75,000 travelers?
Yes, they've already said that that would be the way it would work. I just need to say to you that they said it was good that we have a Medicare Advantage plan, because that bill probably for that first hospitalization was $40,000,
Okay.
but there was only $6,000 plus our copay, which would be like about $900.
Okay,
like
that-
$300
and
per
did
day.
Medicare pay part of the bill?
Yes, they will be paying the the $6,000. That will be the allowable amount for that first hospital stay, and then plus my copay.
Okay, so Medicare
And then
has a
He
super lien.
was admitted to an acute rehab, which will start again the clock. The $300 a day, the first 5 days, days 6 through 90 would be 0. So,
No,
you know,
no,
we haven't
no.
received the billing on that yet.
No. Someone's paying that bill. Okay. The bill is
What-
not zero. Okay. Your
What
copay
David's
doesn't-
asking you is,
your copay
yeah, who's paying the
doesn't
medical
kick in.
bills?
Right. So what's going to happen is Medicare has a super lien under the law. Now, Travelers is
Right.
not going to just send you a check for 75, because if they do, then Medicare can go after them for the money Medicare is shelling out for the acute care
Right.
and for the medical bills. And that's where a lawyer can
Right.
help you around the edges.
So the answer is
Well,
she does need a lawyer,
yeah.
Dave, in your opinion.
In my opinion is yes, because Travelers is not gonna just write her a check. And if they do, then you're a far better lawyer than me. They're gonna want to know what that Medicare lien is, because they're on the hook for it also.
Yeah.
As is the
So,
tortfeasors.
so you might want to give David a call to help you. Okay.
Yeah, well, this gentleman, I think, hold on a minute. Oh, now I lost my train of thought.
That's okay.
Well,
Yeah.
Hey,
so
you know what?
basically your answer,
I'm gonna be 65, caller, and I noticed something. I heal a lot
Okay.
slower than I used to. I mean, I got this walking pneumonia. It took
Right.
me a month to get over it. When I was the young guns
Right.
age, you know. 'cause,
Yeah.
I mean, you get knocked
Yeah.
down, you scrape, you put mud on your knee. If I put mud on my knee now, I get infected.
hmm
So I
so
feel
ask,
bad for your
so
husband, but-
basically
go ahead, Ron.
they need a lawyer,
Yeah.
David. They
So-
do need a
So
lawyer.
even though this gentleman might live in a mobile home, he's 95 years old, he could have money that we don't know about. Is that what you're saying? That a lawyer could figure that out, could check into that?
Yeah, I mean, does he live in a mobile home? Does he have a retirement account?
Yes,
I know.
yes, he does. Yes.
We represented a client earlier this year. His father was a police officer and left him $1 million.
Mhm.
Okay, left him $1 million.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't
Mhm.
release the tort. I wouldn't release that 95-year-old until I got some assurances
Okay.
from him that he doesn't have any other assets. Okay, because there's a
Right.
lot of people that are misers.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that in a pejorative sense, but there's a lot of people who are
Mhm.
misers, and when they die, they have
Tons of money.
they have tons of money.
And some people, the old school people, live simple lives.
Yeah,
It just stop
Okay.
money away.
yeah, they
Yeah.
suck money away.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, I think maybe we will look into that
And we wouldn't charge you
because
a full
we're not
fee.
sure.
Yeah,
You know, on the face of it,
Oh,
looks
now
like
hang
you
on.
might not have anything.
Right. Hang on a second. I want you to hear this. Dave, you said to her you wouldn't charge her a full
no, I mean,
fee
she's
or anything
already
like that.
gotten. I'd have to see the paperwork she's gotten in, but we would work something out, and we'd be very fair with her. You won't find
What would you charge me 30%?
no.
No, you've already
no.
gotten a lot.
You already gotten a
No.
lot. I'd probably charge you a percentage of what I was able to save you. Okay, because
All right.
sometimes we can negotiate the Medicare lien down.
Correct.
Okay,
So certainly give his office a call. It would be in your best interest.
right.
All right.
Okay.
Call,
Okay.
But
call
I
David.
don't recommend
All right.
people.
All right.
Thank you. I don't
Mhm.
recommend people. Now, this was a relatively simpler case, but I don't recommend people when you're in an automobile accident or you're injured by someone else's negligence. That's the time that you really need a lawyer, because there
Now,
are a
but,
lot
now,
of
Dave-
things. It's not just tort law, it's contract law, it's subrogation law. It's a lot more complicated than people think.
Right. I know this old guy, and maybe you do guys too, Jim and Frank. I know an old guy that had a major toe injury, and somehow he hurt his toe. I don't know if it was
I've had
lifting
a
weights or
rough-
dropping a weight on
I've
it.
had a rough spring and summer. I broke my
But he's an elderly gentleman,
I
and
did. I broke my
he injured
pinky.
himself.
I broke my
Can he
big
sue
toe.
himself?
I got walking pneumonia. It's been rough, Jimmy.
Right.
It has been. We had that phone call, I think, a couple days ago. Jimmy, where's Frank? I can't really talk. My chest hurts.
See how they
I said
make
he's in
fun
his
of me,
office.
Ron? See how they make fun of me, Ron? They do. They make fun of me. You know what they do? You know what I caught them doing? I caught them because they don't know I have a camera in my office. They go in and they take stuff off my desk, and then I'll go and I'll start looking for it just to mess with me. Okay.
Yeah, like remove his chair.
They
Yeah.
move his chair. Or they move stuff to think I'm like losing my
Well,
mind.
your chair's comfortable because you have the wheelchair cushion
Hey,
on it.
move on. Guys, move everything out of his office to another
they've
room
done
down the
really
hall
cool
and
things.
see.
Oh, they have. They go,
I have a
"Dave,
couple
just
tricks
gave
up
you
my
that
sleeve
paper."
coming. Don't
I
worry.
go, no, you didn't give me that paper. And they didn't give it to me. They make me start questioning my own sanity. They're trying to push me
Right.
out slowly by making me crazy. It's stochastic.
All right, hang on. Hang on. Back with the attorneys right after the headlines at 5:30, so you stay tuned. Great things. Beatrice Kopp, and we have attorneys Frank Cassis and James Melfi joining us, as well as attorney David Beatrice from the law firm Beatrice Kopp, obviously.
Or as Siri
And Dave
says,
took a break there and took some Metamucil this break, and now
Yes.
he's back, right, Dave?
or as Siri says,
All right.
Cassisi. That's how she pronounces it.
All right.
I go, call Frank
All right,
Cassis. I'm sorry, I don't have a Frank Cassis. Call Frank Cassisi. Calling Frank Cassisi.
Siri.
Siri.
Oh,
She's not
my.
Italian.
Look,
Nope.
look, Siri, she went on. These phones, I hate these phones.
All
I'll
right.
tell you what, they're They're spying on us.
You think?
Yeah.
All right, let's take some more calls. With Attorney Beatrice and Company, you're on the air. Hello.
Yeah, I'm a landlord in Portage County, and I've just been made aware that one of my tenants is growing medical marijuana in the garden. Do I have any recourse? I mean, is this legal?
I think under the new statute, he's allowed to do that, but you as a landlord can restrict that.
I think you're right.
I know I'm right. So, but was it in your lease? I mean, is it a year lease?
No, because the lease was created prior to it being legal.
No, I understand that. Okay. Is it a year's lease or is it a month to month? What is it?
Currently, it is a month to month.
Well, if you can evict them in 30 days.
It's the
It's a
easiest
month,
way to
yeah.
do it.
That's the easiest way to do it. Just say, hey, don't want you here anymore. And he's got to dig up his plants.
First of the month, send him a notice.
Yeah.
He's out in 30 days and be done.
Let me ask you a question, caller. Why is that a
Yeah.
big deal? As long as the guy's paying his rent and taking care of your place, what difference does it make if he's growing medical marijuana or marijuana?
It's a big deal to me because of it is a duplex, and there are kids next door.
Right.
Okay.
And so he's growing it in his apartment?
No, he's growing it in a garden behind his half of the duplex.
Well, he's got to cultivate that stuff soon, right? Because pretty soon those plants are going to die.
Yeah, I don't know nothing about it. I'm just disturbed at the fact that it's on my property.
Well, you have a right to not
Evict
have
him.
them on your property. You
Evict
Let
him.
me ask
you don't have to evict
David.
them,
Let me
just
ask
give
you.
them 30 days notice.
Oh, it's evicting him.
Well, it's not evicting them. It's a month-to-month tenancy. You're not evicting him. You're just not renewing the lease.
Okay. You're
Let me
evicting
ask you something, David. When he says that he's upset that it's on his property, well, the guy's paying his rent. He has rights too, and it's not
Well,
like it's
no, it's not how it works, Ron.
Mhm.
He's not. He doesn't have. No one can make you enter into a contract. Okay, there are some parameters on it. You can't say, "Well, I'm not going to lease to someone because they're African American." That would be against the law. But if you say, as a landlord, I don't want people growing marijuana on my property, you're allowed to say that, and no law is going to make you have a contract with him. And so, since he's a month to month, and since his plants are now probably fully grown in summer, I would say, hey, sir, you got 30 days to get out. And now he's got to go dig up his marijuana plants and repot them.
So the other hiccup to this scenario is this tenant has been there for about 4 years, and after signing, giving them, signing the initial lease 4 years ago, he was in a car accident and now is a paraplegic.
That's not a.
That's not a
How
problem.
is he growing marijuana if he's a paraplegic?
Because his caretaker is doing it for him.
Okay, well, that's not a problem. I mean, I'm sorry, it's not. I mean,
You can still send him the notice and
yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I don't have a problem with marijuana, and here's the reason why. The more deleterious drug is alcohol than marijuana. And one we celebrate
Right.
and have, Super Bowl commercials about, and the other one we just now decriminalized, finally. One you can die from and you can overdose, and one you can't. One is an addictive drug and the other isn't. So, I mean, outside of the smell, but if you eat gummies, there's no smell to gummies. Or if you have tincture or whatever, they have the oils, or the patches. I mean, I could never understand all these years why marijuana was not legalized. I could never understand it. It is physically impossible to overdose on smoking marijuana, but you can die from drinking too much alcohol. And one we celebrate.
But
Go ahead.
But if you were to grow up in a household that had marijuana in it and realized what it did to the functionality of your parents and how it took away from your childhood, you might have a different outlook about it.
Well, look, that's when it was not regulated. So you didn't know what was in there. Now we know that the government is regulating it. And I think even with the recreational, if I'm not mistaken, they do seed to sale regulation. So you're getting a regulated product, just like as opposed to someone making moonshine in their backyard or you going and getting alcohol at the store. One is regulated, one isn't. And I'll bet the paraplegic is getting some relief from the marijuana. That would be my bet, that he has pains and the marijuana is more soothing to him as opposed to a pharmaceutical drug that has other side effects. There are studies after studies about anxiety, insomnia, pain, where medical marijuana is the thing. People with a certain type of neurological diseases have great relief from it. And so here's what I'm telling you, caller. I feel bad that he's a paraplegic, but that doesn't mean he has the right to grow something on your land that you don't want grown. So you got to make a decision whether you want to allow him to do it or not allow him to do it. And if he's on a month to month, you can give him 30 days notice and he's got to leave.
And what would have happened? Let's say he had a year lease, and I became aware of it after the fact. Would that change things?
That's why they have courts.
Yeah.
That's a good court.
Have you asked him just to remove it?
Yeah, I mean, you could do that.
He is incapable of corresponding without a variety of anger. So, like, talking to him, I have to talk to other people because it's just not rational.
But the question is have you just asked him just to remove it? I mean, if he's been a 4-year tenant and he's a good tenant besides this issue, maybe the better route is just say, hey, I don't want this on my property. Remove it. He removes it, and then you don't lose a tenant.
And his caretaker can go somewhere else and get it too.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, I mean, that would be a possibility. But getting back to Dave's point about, this stuff being regulated, all right, the stuff that I'm sure he's growing, he didn't order. All right, he'd been a user prior to this, I'm sure.
Well,
and before it was legal.
You don't know if he has a medical marijuana card, though, or not. You don't know.
I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
He might have a medical marijuana
I do
card,
not.
and he might be on gummies, or he might want to make his own gummies because it's expensive going to the dispensary and buying it. It's very expensive.
Right.
So good luck to you, caller.
Right.
Good call.
All right, bud. Thank you.
I mean,
Thank you.
It was different.
Hey,
It was interesting.
you know,
It was sort of a
we're
tree question. It was just a marijuana
Yeah.
tree question. Go ahead,
Would you
Ron.
guys do me a favor, though? I mean, when we take marijuana questions, I just ask you to do one thing.
What?
Please refer to the caller as dude, okay?
Dude.
If you wouldn't mind. Dude, yeah.
Like Spicoli.
Could you say, could you
Spicoli.
just say, hey, dude, let me answer your question? I think it sounds
I
kind of
just
cool
think,
if you would.
I don't know why in Ohio we're always behind the curve. Like we had all these states do gambling, and then we had all these. You go to Michigan, go on I-75, Ron. In the first two exits, they have 4 or 5 dispensaries there, and there's an hour wait to get into them, and they're killing it with the taxes. And
Yeah.
it's right over the Ohio line. I mean, and so, and these municipalities and places that ban, like under the statute, under the recreational marijuana statute, a township or a city can ban it, saying we don't want any dispensaries.
But why
Right.
would you when you get the money?
Yeah, you're getting a piece of the action. You're getting
Right.
34% of the tax that goes
Yeah.
right back to the municipality. So Youngstown, who needs the money, right? They have one dispensary, medical dispensary. So that gentleman gets an automatic recreational one. But then they banned it. Now Hubbard allowed it. Austintown allowed it. Coatesville allowed it. Now all these places are going to establish this business. And Youngstown's going to lose out on all that money.
And they're going to get the marijuana anyways.
And
if
they're going
they
to
want
get, people are going to smoke it anyhow.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's not going to stop anything.
No.
Right. Okay. Hang on, dude. Let's take another call.
All right, dude.
Far out, man. All right. News Radio 570 WQ, and you're on the air. Hello.
Hello.
Yes. Your question for our attorneys.
I have a question. Yes. I live in a HOA in Macedonia, Ohio. There's 36 homes. It's governed by 3 board members and a property manager that handles the contracting and that kind of thing. Over the past year and a half, I've witnessed, and we are so small that they use an independent, garbage and recycling company. So they come in with two different trucks. One of the trucks, I've witnessed hydraulic leaks and or motor oil leaks. They are not food waste leaks. So I've complained to the board. I've complained to the property manager, sent emails. So now what's significant about this is the roads are concrete, not asphalt. So when these spots appear, which have happened right in front of my house and my neighbor's house, not until Mother Nature burns it off does it disappear, as opposed to if you saw that leak happen on an asphalt driveway or road.
Okay.
So what it boils down to is I've complained enough. I also complained about the landscaper who doesn't seem to understand when you come and cut the grass, and you should trim every time you cut the grass.
Right.
So I've made enough noise that they're no longer, and what happens when they're packing the garbage, moving the valve in the back, the drivers, the helper at the back is packing, there are leaks. So I've even witnessed the drivers tell the helper, don't pack. And there's two cul-de-sacs in this development, and I live in like a half cul-de-sac.
Okay.
I've witnessed through my morning walks, they go out on the road, the main road, they do the packing, then come back in and finish the route.
All right.
So,
What's your question?
the owner is okay. The question is, I made enough noise, although they're not doing the packing on my street, they're going into other streets. The law firm sent a letter saying basically, you're harassing, and although he doesn't say that, now I have threatened to file a complaint with the Ohio EPA because I have videos, I have pictures.
You're not harassing.
And
You're within your rights to ensure that people are following the laws. That's not harassment. Now, there's
Right,
a way to
it's
do that,
it's a
and there's a
safety
way
thing.
not to do it. My suggestion is that you corral some of your neighbors and get on the board and fire those two companies and hire some other ones. There's a process to get that done. So maybe when the next time they have elections, you run for the board and get some of your neighbors to vote for you, and that's how you can effectuate change. You are not powerless there.
I agree. I was on the board for 6 months, but then they just were looking for a yes man. And 2 years ago, I left. I resigned because so we changed property managers to a guy right up the street that manages his own property where he lives.
Right.
And I made enough noise where he said, "Oh no, don't contact the EPA. You never know what else they might find." I go, "Well, all I want to do is have a nice place, no leaks on our concrete roads."
You never know what else they're
I
going
may
to
be
find.
the only one.
When you say that to me,
Yeah, right.
that's a red
that was the
flag. I'm
reply.
like, well, what else are they going to find? Like, what other EPA violations are taking place there that maybe you don't even know about? I don't think you should
here's
resign
what
your
it boils-
position on the board. I think you and maybe a neighbor, so you can have 2-on-1 and you can have a majority vote and get people that you like.
Yeah.
That's
I couldn't agree with you more, Dave.
but you resigned.
So the first paragraph of the attorney's letter was saying you have threatened to leave negative reviews on social media regarding the landscaper and state agencies as a result of your displeasure with their services. State agencies meaning I've threatened to contact the Ohio EPA if it happens just one more time.
Right.
So my question is, and the property manager pontificates all the time, Mike, this is the first time you've lived in an HOA. I've been here 6 years. You give up rights, quote unquote, is what he said.
People
I
have
said,
to
but I
follow.
shouldn't have to give up my
I'm
rights.
assuming your name's Mike. Mike, we're going to take some other calls. And
Yeah.
I'm going to just leave you with this. People have to follow the law. And you're allowed to say, please
Right.
follow the law. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, I think the company that you said you were going to leave negative reviews for, well, you're allowed to leave a negative review for someone if you have a negative experience with them. That's the whole thing. But you
Right.
got to watch how you
So I
do
guess the
it.
question of living
You're not allowed
in
to
an
use.
HOA doesn't preclude me from, since I live in an HOA, I'm not allowed to complain. to the EPA for
Well,
the
let me
garbage
ask you
part?
this,
No,
caller.
you're
Let me just
absolutely
ask you.
allowed to complain.
Let me ask you a question. So before we move on,
But
can
my
you mow your
fear
own
is,
yard?
Ron, he used the I'm going to leave you a negative review unless you do this.
All right.
It's almost
All
like
right.
he's extorting something from them. That's how you don't want it to come off.
Right, but can I listen? I'm going to offend probably him and maybe so, but in all reality in life, there are chronic complainers that you're never going to please. I'm not saying this guy's one of them, but he could be one of them too. You just never know. Well, that's all I'm saying. All right, good luck. You're on the air. Hello.
Hello, how are you guys today?
How are
Question,
you?
please.
All right, all right. I want to thank you for the service you provide. It's very helpful.
Thank you, dude.
I'm actually calling for my sister. She
Go ahead.
was at one of these mini mart gas stations. It was Sheets, I believe, and she was walking out of the Sheets, and she slipped on some oil
Mhm.
that was there on the ground there.
Right.
Uh,
Let me cut
And-
to the chase. You ready? I'll tell you what the law
Yeah.
is. We call slip and fall slip and lose. Okay. The law is not on the
flipping what?
We call them
Slip
slip,
and
and
lose.
lose. Okay.
Listen to what he says
The
now.
law is really not it's pro business, not pro person that gets injured. Let me give you an example. Say you are in Giant Eagle. Okay. A guy picks up a
Right.
banana. He eats the banana and he throws the peel. Before anyone at Giant Eagle knows
Right.
the peel's there, someone comes and slips and falls on it. That's called slip and lose.
Right.
I had this
Okay.
case.
Yeah.
Right.
It was lettuce.
Lettuce.
Well,
So,
I know.
The only
I know
way
it's
you
hard-
can win
very
those
hard to
cases,
prove.
listen to me, caller. The only way you're going to win
Okay.
those cases is if they knew about the problem, had a reasonable period of time to remedy it, and did not do it. Good luck trying to prove that. Because someone could pull in, get
Right.
gas,
Well,
have an oil leak, leave, and they not even know about it.
Right. Okay.
right. Well, I'm not sure this was even where the car was. It
No,
was.
it doesn't matter. They have to know about a
Mhm.
problem. They have to have a reasonable period of time to remedy it or give you a warning about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
Well, first of all, just real quick, there was no sign or no warning.
I hear what you're
and I
saying.
know it's hard to prove negligence.
No,
is what you have
how
to
do you
prove here.
prove how long that was there, and how do you prove that the owner of the establishment knew it was there?
Right.
Well,
And
what I'm saying is that
well,
with,
listen,
with all
Davis.
the cameras,
Right.
with all
Dave,
the cameras that are in place now,
but he didn't know.
wouldn't it be
No.
wouldn't it be possible
Davis
to
answered
see
your
how long
question.
that was
I have
there?
answered.
Davis
Let's
answered your
take the next
question.
caller.
All right. You're on the air. Hello.
Yes, hello.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Hello. My mom and my stepdad had separate accounts for investments for myself, my brother, and two stepsisters. My mom passed away. Her accounts were divided between the four of us. When
Okay.
my mom passed away, my stepsister became executor over my stepfather.
Okay. Go ahead.
From what we understand, she became executor and somehow blocked my brother and myself from the remaining accounts. I haven't been able to talk with her. I don't even know. And then my stepdad developed Alzheimer's, has been put in a nursing home. I don't even know what nursing home he's in. I don't know how to find him. Is that even possible to have an account blocked off like that, even though it was originally made to be divided between the four children?
Well, I to answer your question is, I'd need a lot more information, but let me basically say this to you. Your mom died first, correct?
Yes.
All right. Your stepfather, unless they had contractual wills, is free to change whatever he wanted to change. So he could have changed.
Yeah, he never
everything.
changed anything as
Well,
far
how
as
do
I
you
know.
As
but
far as you know, he hasn't changed anything.
yes.
That's the point. As far as you know, and you don't know. Okay. And so how do you find out? Well, there is a way that you could do a contract where they contractually agree with each other, and then you as a third party beneficiary could enforce that contract. I doubt that's how they did it. I bet they just had sort of like a loving agreement. Hey, if I go make sure my kids are taken care of, yeah, I'm gone. I'm not taking care of your kids. And I see that a lot, unfortunately.
I do have a copy of their will that even in the will, it doesn't specifically state the investment portion, but it does say that everything would be divided.
Okay, but she's
children.
died. He can make a new will.
Huh.
Okay. Unless
Even
there's
with
a
him
way,
having Alzheimer's?
there's a way it could be locked in. Okay. There is a way to lock it in. I don't know if they locked in their wills. Okay. And so I would take this all to a probate lawyer, take what will you have to an estate lawyer and see if, I'd recommend write down this number, 330-533-1921. That's Johnson & Johnson. That's something they really emphasize in, and take the will over to them and see. There's a way you can lock in your spouse. And I tell stepchildren that that's the way to do it, because the natural parent, if he dies first, generally the stepfather goes with his natural kids. All of a sudden, he's maybe lucid, maybe not lucid. And then the will gets changed and you get written out. And he's gotten some of your mom's money. And so did your step brothers and sisters. We see this a lot.
All right. Good luck. You're on the air with our attorneys tonight. 554. Hello. What's your question?
Hi, is it my turn?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
it is.
Your question, please.
Oh, thanks. This is Dude John from Negley.
Yeah.
Dude,
And,
John.
I think David's an expert on boating, so I'm glad that I called him today
Go
when
ahead.
he was there. I took a cruise on Princess Cruise Lines back in August of 22 in the Mediterranean for 10 days. And when I was on board the ship, I contracted, or at least they said I contracted COVID, and they locked me up for 3 days on board the ship.
Yeah.
And then when we hit Rome, they locked me up for 4 more days in a hotel room until the Italian government would have me released, as long as I didn't have COVID. Yeah. The point I'm trying to make is that I suffered a loss because I didn't get to use all 10 days of my cruise. And I thought at that time Princess Cruise was very kind. They gave me a letter stating that by August, I think it's August 19th of 2024, if I were to schedule another cruise with Princess Cruise Lines, I would be granted a credit of $970.
That was nice.
What's
of
your
them.
question? What is your question? I'm running out of time. Quickly.
I'm sorry. So the letter was issued to me. I attempted to use the letter as a cruise credit. They declined it because they said that it hadn't been used within a year. And I pointed out that the letter says 2 years. And they said, well, your certificate expired in a year. And I said, I didn't receive a certificate. So what is my recourse?
You have a $900 lawsuit against the cruise lines.
And if so, what
you have a
venue?
$900 lawsuit against the cruise lines. That's a
Small
small claims
claims.
action.
Put it in small claims.
Hey,
Go to small claims court.
Right.
All right. You're on the air with the attorneys. Quick question. Go.
How you doing?
Good. What's your question?
Good. My question is this. Okay, it's on distracted driving. Okay, and actually I have 2 questions, but I'm just going to do
Wait,
one.
wait.
Real quick.
How can you be considered distracted driving? Okay, when you're on your cell phone, which I understand that's distracted driving. But can you explain to me why a pet owner is not under the same guidelines when a dog is crawling all over the steering wheel and all over the car and all over their face?
Because when the
It's
state
even more distracting than the
legislature's in
phone.
session, none of us are safe.
What's that?
Because they passed a law saying
Cell phones,
cell phones. That's the reason.
not dogs.
Not dogs. All right.
Well, that's a great
but I mean,
deposition
it's
question
worse
you
than a
always
cell
ask.
phone sometimes because the dog's all over the steering wheel.
All right, well, he answered.
I answered
Yeah.
your
My
question.
question is, who's driving?
There you go.
Petition your legislator. There you go.
Quick question. Go, caller.
Is this me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your question?
An individual hired a local moving company, go from point A to point B. We're at point B. We're both in the house. This individual, the new homeowner, walks outside and comes back in. He says, the guy says he fell off the truck and wants me to call 911. So I go outside
And he said, you call an ambulance. I said, no. I said, you got a phone. I said, you call your own ambulance. And so the
Someone
co-worker
asked
did
you to
call
call
the ambulance.
911 and
Is
you
the
said no.
homeowner up for a lawsuit or not?
No, you're not
No.
up for
When he
you
fell
don't
off
have
his
to
own
aid
truck.
another in danger.
No.
There's no obligation on you. But geez, oh man, how about being neighborly? Tomorrow morning, Ron, on WFMJ today. Since we're going back to school, I'm going to be talking about truancy, homeschooling, and it all. My God, I can't believe it.
All right, Legal Show brought to you by Beatrice Cop. Back with Open Lines.